Somebody order room service. Flair groaned as he collapsed on the floor of Raspberry's room. I don't know if I can keep this galloping back and forth. Sugarcoat snickered as he poked her friend's barrel. Told you should have stayed in shape. She did. Raspberry teased. Round is the shape. Are you saying I'm overweight? Flair pouted. I'll have you know I'll work out. Yeah, sure. Sugarcoat replied. And Princess Celestia hates cakes too, I bet. Anyway, Raz, what now? In response, Raspberry walked over to her bags and pulled out a small wooden bird stand before she went to open a window. Got a note that Sergeant Zest arrived an hour ago, which means that Healy is probably hunting for dinner right now. The unicorn explained, and if Twilight got what I asked for, this should be easy. Who's Healy? Flair asked. As he answered the question, a young phoenix with feathers of emerald and gold soared into the room through an open window. He came to a perfect landing on a perch before chirping a hello. You done hunting, you little rascal? Raspberry asked the bird, Heliodor. In return, puffed out his chest, the pantomime being full, before chirping out a burp. Turning the others, he said, Anyway, this is Heliodor, or Healy for short. She's my pet phoenix and closest confidant. Flair got up and looked down carefully. Heliodor responded by posturing like a model. Wow, she said, raising to touch him. Non-red phoenixes are extremely rare. How did you get him? Long story, Raspberry replied, but remind me later and I'll tell you. She then asked the phoenix, Were you able to pull out the spell? The bird jauntily saluted with a wing, then spat out a burst of green flame, which began to sparkle and swirl in mid-air. Flame flax, Flair asked, thought only dragons and alicorns could do it. Spike wasn't so sure, so he asked me to leave Healy behind for a day so he could teach him the spell. Raspberry explained, Looks like it worked. Good thing, too, because it's perfect for situations like this. As the unicorn spoke, the flame turned into a strangely shaped object, which a second later became an odd contraption of precious metals and crystals. As it clattered to the ground, the three mares know it looked like an orrery gone mad. Steampunk mismatch of copper, bronze, and steel spokes, gears, and switches, many holding either tubes of gas or large glowing quartz crystals. As the others stared with wonder, Raspberry explained, This is an astral presence device. It was one of the items Sombra had been working on for the day he conquered the world. He needed a way of keeping in touch with his generals and governors, right? Anyway, Princess Cadence had some mages in the Empire inspect the prototype, and found that aside from its creator, it's a normal magical device that runs off a neutral magical spell, so any pony can use it. The guild's artificers got wind of it, and now they're churning them out by the dozens. Twice suggested we field test one, so I had her send one. Heliodor pridefully puffed again, and Raspberry giggled. Yes, you silly bird. You're very helpful in bringing this. In response, he flew over and perched on a horn, contentedly cooing. Ignoring him for the time being, he had, To use it, it's very simple. All you have to do is touch the crystals with our horns, or wing or hoof if you're Pegasus or Earth Pony, and we'll be operating in an astral form for those we're conferring with. Who's gonna be there in the conference? Flair asked. Twy, the other bearers, and most likely Princess Luna, given she's overseeing this investigation. Why? To Raspberry's surprise, Flair started backing away. I think I'll pass on this one if you don't mind. Seriously, Flair? Sugarcoat looked at her friend with disappointment. That'd be very unprofessional. Something I should know about? Raspberry asked. Sugarcoat nodded her head. Flair here always felt inadequate around Princess Twilight. Sugarcoat? Flair cried. You promised not to tell. Yes, but that was mitigating circumstances. Our boss needs to know. Sugarcoat explained. Why? Raspberry asked Flair. Twy's one of the kindest mares I know. You try looking 5 years older than her and looking like a laggard. Flair said with anger. Hell, some of our family's top in our fields. And for my cousins, Shiny's the captain of the guard and a prince, and the other's a freaking alicorn. Me, I'm barely a mid-ranking mage, and I'm surprised I can hold my own. You have an advantage she doesn't right now. You know what's going on, she doesn't. You could do this, Flair, Sugarcoat insisted. You're one of the best investigative minds in the guild. Besides, She added, "You could end up with my cousins." "Well, excuse me for not growing up with my cousins," Flare spat back. Seeing confusion on Raspberry's face, he added, "Sugarcoat here was raised by her aunt since her parents were killed in a train crash outside Manhattan when she was a kid." "Hey, my cousins are pretty much my sisters," Sugarcoat Silver shrugged. "Grass Glade and Lilypad never treated me as anything less, so that's how I grew up. Nothing wrong with that, right, Raz?" Raspberry smiled. "Remind me sometime to tell you about a mare I know. She has a cousin who's in the same position you were. Anyway, let's start." She placed her horn on one of the crystals. "Ladies, if you will." Sugarcoat joined her. A second layer of hesitation, so did Flare. A second layer, the trio were standing underneath the shadow Castle Everfree by some crumbling buildings. "This is where my old hideout used to be," Raspberry commented. "I used to live here at one time, and still have my artificial crystal labs here." "What are you talking about?" Sugarcoat asked, looking at the mulberry marrow-knot glare. "We're at my favorite park in downtown Baltimore, about a block from my parents' aunt's place and right across the street from that bakery that made the best cupcakes ever. I used to go to the park sometimes just for the smell." "You two are both nuts. We're here in Seaside Village, where I grew up," Flare insisted. "Over there's my parents' seashell shop, and over there is by the docks is Mr. Guido's boat repair shack. The old Griffin's like a grandpa to me. To all the falls in town, actually." She lifted her muzzle in the air. You could still smell the sea breeze. "And that's because each of you sees a different thing central to your lives," a familiar voice said, and a second later, Princess Luna appeared from out of nowhere. At her side was an earth mare with a cream-colored coat and a buff-on mane, and a tail of evenly split cobalt and fuchsia. "For example, my friend here was just forgetting what this looks like her Jamaica, and where she and her husband went on her honeymoon." "Glad I only told you about the outdoor parts," the mayor teased. "As the current saying goes, I believe, TMI." The unicorn teased, and Earthpoint snickered. Raspberry recognized the other mayor instantly. "Bonbon, what are you doing here?" It was Luna that answered. "There's a time and place for that, but now's not it," the unicorn says. The bears showed up. The sextet briefly discussed their dream locations. Pinky's was by far and away the weirdest of them all. Finally, Luna interrupted a small talk. "As entertaining as this all is, I suggest we dispense with the chit-chat. We don't know how long the charge on this device will last, so expectancy is key." "You're right, sorry," Twilight replied. "Raz, what were you able to find out?" Raspberry pointed the other two out unicorns, and Flare unconsciously pulled a flare shy, hiding behind Sugarcoat. "Flare and Sugarcoat found that we're dealing with somebody who has Alicorn-level magic and used it to completely decimate the town, killing dozens. Unless Celestia wants to dedicate using her full power on the glacier covering it, I don't recommend that, the town's a complete loss. I've requested assistance from the local army garrison to set up a quarantine until we completely lock down the place." "Thought bald?" Luna asked. Sugarcoat created a replica of Hidden Night Pillar in its magical wrappings. Raz wasn't able to identify this, but it's grown at an accelerated rate in the main shaft of the Rolling Hills mine. It's pumping out extreme amounts of miasma and black magic. She then adjusted her glasses and said, "One thing's for sure. It's something we had to assume could be a critical threat to our nation." "Because a week doesn't go by when there isn't one," Rainbow rolled, rolling her eyes. "There's a whole lot of weird going on lately," Bonbon strangely noted. "First, the sudden return of—" "That's classified and not germane to the situation," Luna interrupted. "I think it is, but you're the boss," the Earth Mare commented. Disregarding the earlier issue, there was a report of a fatality at the Everfree Castle restoration site. The victim was a Pegasus with his magic almost completely drained. From the report, he had probably been pushed from one of the towers. Additionally, there was a murder at Royal Astronomers Guild Research Station. In that case, the mayor of the facility was also drained of magic and stabbed to death. Then there was the White Garden incident, though as I recall, that's tied more to the previous unmentionable than anything else. Lastly, the towns of Maryworston, Townsville, Rhode Island, and Hostep Pass were all recently attacked as well, in much of the same way as Rolling Hills. She looked at every point the president said, "At some point you start to see something you really wish you hadn't." With the exception of the White Garden, none of that was reported in the news, Dwight nodded. Nor did I get any intelligence briefing on it. How do you know all about this, Bonbon? Rhaenyra opened her mouth as to speak, but then her ears drooped as she closed her mouth, ending any potential reply. Twilight, we can discuss this later, Luna assured the other alicorn, but I'm interested in why a town with a regional weather facility, a village known for its rutabaga crops, a lakeside village with a sizable griffin population, and a town with a regional train maintenance depot were all hit. Have we sent police to investigate? We already did, Bonbon explained. The director recommended a media blackout, and with your sister's permission just to be on the safe side. All residents have been reimbursed by the Crown and relocated to adjacent towns, as we do not know how long the towns will be quarantined, or like Rolling Hills, is permanently made off limits. She then looked at the Circuit Coast hologram, but nothing like that was ever reported. The room grew quiet again until Rarity spoke. Ladies, perhaps we're looking at this the wrong way. Perhaps that thing is there for a different purpose. Could it be there to disrupt and impulse the economy? Also recall, Rolling Hills is famous for the food-grade gems. Rhode Island and Townsville were attacked as well, correct? Trains are important for shipping goods from one part of the nation to the other. And if I recall correctly, Rhode Island is famous amongst the Griffin community in Equestria for its seafood. She said the last part with distaste, owing to her pony nature as partial herbivore. But that doesn't make sense, Rarity, Bonbon retorted. Townsville is on a share of the rail system that isn't often used. In fact, if I recall correctly, the Townsville depot is set more for supply to the other depots with materials to fix their issues. And hitting Rhode Island only inconveniences the carnivore and pescivore populations. Dodge Tuscan is only a half day's travel to the south, and its cherry orchards are far more vital to the Equestria's economy. Or it could be a preemptive military strike, Rainbow suggested. Attacking a supply depot is a good way to prevent repairs in case the nation gets invaded. As for Rhode Island, the Thunderheads are there. The who? The Thunderheads. They're a Royal Navy combat squadron made of equestrian griffins. They're not as famous as the Wonderbolts because, well, we're cool and all, but their skills lend more towards combat than most of the bolts, admittedly. Anyway, I've fought a few times against their CEO, Captain Gallard. He's one hell of a flyer. Anyway, the Thunderheads are based out of Rhode Island. Probably a few of them have relatives in town there. Hitting them hard would make sense, save that they're out in Inari right now doing military maneuvers with the Kitsune. Well, then how does Meriwether factor into it? Elzak asked. Attacking a regional weather station just means the weather happens to be on its own until the stations were built. Am I right, Rainbow? Rainbow, a former weather manager, nodded. You do have a point. Meriwether makes it the oddball in that mix. Not to mention those other deaths that Bonbon mentioned. Well, what are they trying to cause interspecies strife? Fireside asked. The voice as though her heart was breaking. An attack on the equestrian griffins would cause strife in the Griffins' lands, and that would make things worse, wouldn't it? Plus, cutting off dragons and other herbivores from a needed food supply would also come to play, right? I don't think it'll be much of a difference, Flares, Epsec said. The Griffins tearing at each other like a whole passel of plagues in a stab back in the Griffin lands, so I don't think they give much of a hoot of what happens to the Griffins that live here. And the dragons are one of the migrations, Randy noted, and if I recall, during those times they really are more on Diamond Dog mines in Australia and Kitsune gemfields than Southern Inari, am I right? And maybe we should look at the socioeconomic factors again, Piggy suggested. So far seems to be the income most sense, given that each of these places somehow play a major role in the economy. Is it possible that we're just probing and fair so hits the temples of the equestrian economy? Flair, silent all this time, went to the air mares. Wait, you're a baker, a farmer, a vet, fashionista, and a former weather master. Rainbow, I can see you might have had intel access now, given your status as a Wonderbolt, but how can any of you make the kinds of detailed analysis you just did? The five mares, as one, pointed at Twilight. Her fault! They yelled in unison, while the young Gallicorn merely blushed. Speaking of that, Elzak commented as he looked at Bonbon, I'm wondering how a simple candy maker knows how to do this stuff, especially since he doesn't have the advantages of being around twine in a regular business. Bonbon chose to sidestep any answer. Ladies, have you considered any other patterns we might have precluded, like the most obvious one? Why is there a large, unidentifiable gem in the middle of Rolling Pill's mine that's pumping out pure, unadulterated evil? Patience, Agent Sweetie Drops, Luna advised. Sweetie Drops? Everyone present save Luna and Bonbon parroted. Long story, Bonbon replied. We have other concerns right now. Fine, but you and I are talking later, Agent. Twilight said. I get the feeling you're hiding something from Lyra, aren't you? Bonbon seemed to deflate. It's for her own good, she said with a tone of sadness. Can we please get back on the subject? The most obvious point that we know of is Rolling Hills' gem mine, Luna stated. However, it's food grade, not magical grade, so I think... That's it. Everybody turned to look at Sunny Flare, who up until now spent most of the conversation being quiet and assuming it's an average mouse. Thinking about it, ladies, what's the biggest problem with food or industrial grade gems? Well, that's rather obvious, dear, Rarity stated. Police don't usually use anything other than precious or magical grade gems, because the lower in quality a gem is, the lesser magical force it can be enchanted with. Also recall, food grade gems only hold a third or so of a full magical charge, and industrial ones can barely hold any charge at all. I don't see where you're going with this, though. Me knows, Flare responded. The Minotaur gem mines on their island nation tend to be the most industrial grade, right? So how do they compensate for it? By fusing the gems together. Sure, it's never going to be as pretty as precious grade, but they're not using them for that purpose. As for magical grade, well, a Minoan gem blade has as much magical force behind it as a standard sword with a magical grade gem, because it's made entirely of gems. Oh, you'll say not, Luna prided. Clever look in her eyes. She figured it out the moment Flare had made the gem connection and warned the others to as well. I just remembered. Merryweatherson is the location of an old mine from a couple of centuries ago. All the precious and magical grade gems are gone, and all that's left is industrial. There's a risk of further mining that could destabilize the whole complex. The town decided to rejigger the whole place as a tourist trap, because they set it up to create just a really interesting light show, Flare explained. Went there when I was just a foal and loved it. She then conjured a map, laying it down on the ground. As I recall, though, there were more than enough gems there to fuse it to something magical grade, like the column. Rarity's eyes lit up with a sudden recollection. A couple of weeks ago, Filthy Rich approached me about an investment suggestion. He said they'd also discovered a major subterranean gem cave underneath Holster Pass. Now the gems were all food grade. Rich thought that with all financing, the prospectors could create a decent competitor to Rolling Hills. The others finally began to look at each other in realization, began to work through the small group. I'll be right back, Luna said. I think I need some information that'll be used to us all. She immediately advanced from the conference. As one, every point looked at Twilight. I'll be right back as well, Twilight commented, looking at Bonbon. Agent Sweetie Drops and I need to have a conversation. The Earth Mare stood there with a guilty look on her face, at least until Twilight teleported over to her, and both vanished immediately afterwards. Raspberry looked at Flare. Can you eliminate the areas that were impacted? Sure thing. Flare then added small magical images to indicate the no incidences. The White Guard, the Racer Station, and Castle Everfree attacks, and the 5 towns that have been hit. You guys aren't missing much. There's just a giant map here of Equestria, the giant cannon map, but there's nothing here that really suggests anything. All I can add is, I think the author might have wrote in a few notes. But anyway, all I can add right now is, and of course this is before the movie, so we don't get all the other we don't get the Badlands and stuff. One of these days I'm going to compare all the maps and see the discrepancies, which would actually be kind of fun. No, it would be. Anyone else see a pattern? Sugarcoat asked. With Rolling Hills, Merryweather Station, and now Holster Pass, Rarity stated. So do I, sad to say. A second later, Luna reappeared. Well, that is some disgusting information, she said aloud. As she was about to speak further, she noticed 2 absences. Where's Twilight and Bon? Suddenly, the 2 reappeared, the former with an angry look on her face, and the latter with a guilty one. We're back, Luna. Bonnie and I had to have a chat. Luna looked at the younger Alicorn with a disappointment, but then turned back to the conversation. Well, any of you aware that of one of the upcoming talks between the Appaloosa provincial government, the Bison tribes involved in mineral rights underneath the apple orchards? Apparently, there's a massive gem field underground that could stretch from the south of Appaloosa all the way north to Townsville. In fact, the Bisons have already set up a mine there for industrial-grade gems. So he gave Flair a smile. Mate Flair, it seems that you may be due for a well-deserved promotion. Anyone want to explain what's going on for us stupid ponies? Rainbow asked testily. Massive gem deposits are the type that ponies usually don't care about, but could still be magically charged with enough patience and process. Bonbon explained. Any pony want to take bets and we'll find him under Rhode Island as well? Celestia, damn it! Why didn't we see this further? Rainbow said more to herself than anything else. Sweet stars of harmony. Twilight went over and hugged her cousin, much to Flair's surprise. You did, Flair! But Flair has 3 air spots marked on the map. Castle Everfree, a research station near Meadowlair Station in White Garden, Pinky inquired. All of which have had casualties as of late, Circo explained. But outside the White Garden, everything else is tied to another location. The ruins of Everfree are actually closer to Townsville than any other location, and the research piece was overseen by the Royal Astronomers Guild office in Meadowlair Station. They're likely coincidences or attacks of convenience in one way or another target, Bonbon suggested. The White Garden can likely be written off entirely due to distance. Regardless, this isn't the work of some random monster. This is starting to get out of my branch of the agency, so if you need me, I'll do whatever you can to exist. Suddenly, another figure popped in the room, namely Shining Armor. Okay, I got the information you needed, Luna. He told the Night Alicorn. Somebody wanted to fill me in what's going on? First, reveal what you found, Shining, Luna asked. It will help you the vital piece of the puzzle. He nodded. The Ministry of the Interior reported that new gem deposits were discovered in an underwater grotto underneath Rhode Island. The Griffiths reported that there are some precious gems there, but most of them are industrial grade. However, they left it alone because it could potentially destabilize some of the land in the northern part of the island. However, due to its discovery, it was required to be reported under our ministry rules. C9 in understanding. Thank you, Shining. C9 looked at the others. So all 5 towns have gem deposits. I suspect that if we search, we find something that like that pillar growing in each of them. But as to what its purpose is, I don't think we should wait until something happens. Shining, I want you to liaise with Administrator Tumbleholm and General Halberd and deploy troops to those other 4 sites immediately. We need to know if the other locations are impacted. She looked at the map. Now also the remaining sites. Remaining sites, Princess? Sukuko asked. With that, Night Alicorn designated 3 towns on the map. Berryville, a farming community northwest of Ponyville. Cloudy Vista, a ground-based Pegasite settlement just north of Cloudsdale. And Icicle Works, a new settlement being built on the snowy border between the main ports of Equestria and the Empire. These 3 potential sites look like forms. And now the author has added the aforementioned towns to the picture, creating a nice, cute little star shape. Raspberry looked at the map and her jaw dropped. That's a massive magical circle. What's worse, the Nexus is Canterlot, which has a massive abandoned gem mine underneath. Twilight interrupted. Katie and I were stuck down there once, and the number of gems that are still down there could create something that'll make the other pillar look like a pencil. I have the Crystal Guard running through the Icicle Works by tomorrow, Shiny told Luna. I'll advance troops there in the hour. We could be in Berryville by tomorrow as well, Twilight told the others. Bonnie, I want you with us. Are you sure about that, Twilight? Bonbon asked. You know things I need to know now, Twilight said. You could brief us on the way. Fine. Let me just tell Chalk I haven't had time to tell him the truth yet. So I need something to tell him. Tell him the truth, Twilight insisted. That I need you for something you might be an expert on. Then we're just going to Berryville. Should be vague enough to cover you. But you better tell the whole truth sooner or later, Applejack insisted. I don't count on telling lies, you guys. Lyra too, Rainbow added. She's your best friend, and you're doing some secret stuff for the government. Now you put her in danger. She deserves to know the truth. At the sound that, Bonbon's ears flattened and she went down. Fine, she replied. Let me get back. What about us? Raspberry asked. Luna looked at the Archmages and her subordinates. I'll have Admiral Tomahawk details shipped to you immediately. We'll do the Fiscality Fiesta. Having a military unit and suddenly storming may not be the best idea. So having just 3 mages in their guard unit will be more than enough. I'll get in touch with the mayor there and have her contact you as soon as possible. We won't let you down, Your Highness, Flare said. Of that we have no doubt. Grand Mage is sending Flare a secret count, Twilight said, looking at Luna, who only nodded and agreed. But we're not. Flare commented, saw his words suddenly sank in. You are now, Diaz, Luna said with a congratulatory grin. Meanwhile, the following morning, the airship's sunny rain phase began its trek across the skies of Equestria. The captain, an avuncular earth stallion by the name of Fiery Yellow, made sure that the units accompanying his ship was set up and ready to go. Sure you won't be nearly anything else, Lass, he said, a large grin on his face that somehow barely managed to hold onto the corncob pipe in his mouth. With his curly chin-strap beard of white and fire orange, his faded white cactus cap, and the blue bridge coat he wore, it was hard for Raspberry and her friends not to see him as a larger-than-life character from a book. No, Captain, I think we'll be fine, thanks, Raspberry insisted. Light blue eyes looked around the room and said, Aye, 'tis no finer burthen than you'll find aboard this ship, and why not? The Navy rules the seas and skies, don't you know? No, if you'll be excusing this old salty dog, I have the ship to run. At that, the Earth Pony departed the stateroom, headed towards the bridge. Yeah, he reminds me of Captain Fairwinds from those old novels, Flare said. All he needs is a blue phoenix, just like Fairwind's loyal companion, Sea Sprite, and we're good to go. But where he sat his purse, Healy chirped with a sense of indignity. No one's gonna paint you blue, Healy, so you can calm down, okay? Raspberry assured him. Looking at Flare, Sugarcoat, and Indigo, she explained, he could be a little defensive at times, so don't take it personally. No problem. I wish my pet dog Emma wasn't royal, Indigo told her. Anyway, what did you want to talk about? Something I've been thinking about during the meeting. It helped that we were back in Lonesome Dove at the time. Indy, what do you know about dross? Dross? Well, that's usually its 5th classification of gems. They tend to be magically useless and have so many metal and mineral inclusions, they're essentially trash. Some dross locations end up being good rock farms, but that's few and far between. Why? My family farm was mostly dross, Raspberry explained. My parents thought they found fertile land, but in retrospect, it must have been part of the mountain chain in prehistoric times, and everything was worn down since. Maybe if they considered becoming rock farmers, we would have thrived. Everybody needs bricks and stones for building material, right? No, my old stallion just spent the majority of what little bits we had drinking himself stupid and... Raspberry fell silent for a moment. Well, you already know the rest. The four fell into an uncomfortable silence until Sugarcoat said, Look, we've got a day's trip ahead of us, and we're not going to get there until tomorrow. So why don't we take this time to rest? I know I could use some sleep. Sounds like a plan, Indigo said. Besides, I haven't really flown in a while, and I can do some ship spreads with deck hosts. Yeah, I've got a few letters to write to my parents, Flare said. Think you could send it for me, Healy? The bird saluted her with wing and checked his agreement. We'll see you later then. Round lunch, okay? Raspberry nodded. Looked at the books and said Twilight had said via flame facts the moment he came in. Well, looks like I got some reading to do, Healy, Raspberry commented. I should be so busy I won't get airsick like last time. Healy nodded, then looked at the porthole. The Unicorn added, Unfortunately, we're too high up for you to go hunting on your own. But I'll take Indy take you later, okay? Sure thing, Toots, the mayor said in a Massachusetts accent. Raspberry stared in shock until her bird opened his mouth wide. The gooey substance looking worse than weak old Fauna spit out from the bird. Amelia fired a bolt of green flame at it. The liquid dodged, then moved upwards, starting to take shape until it revealed Discord! Raspberry said with a face of, What are you doing here? Discord? Raspberry said, only you have to direct on to tell a sign wait for it. It continued, Look, I don't have time for this, the mayor said to the Avatar of Chaos. He then took a bound. Thank you. I'll be here all night, boys and girls. Try the chicken. It's great. Went over and hugged Raspberry. Hey, Raz, El Razo, the Razman, the Razanair, Sir Raz is a Raz's dad. How's it going? Well, I was just swinging through town, and who else but Luna asked me to check up on you? Actually, the words were more like, get out of my sight, or I shall submit thee henceforth to the moon. But who's actually counting right? Look. And so, since I heard that you were looking into some interesting things, he says he produced a spyglass from nowhere and looked through it, his eyeball elongating 4 times its length and moving around on its own accord. I thought I could help. Besides, Flairside insisted I needed to get out more and help my circle of friends. Since I only have a small circle of friends, you certainly know how that goes, right? I figured I'd start with my bestie, or at least my worsty bestie, and then chase a duplicate of her. We could do each other's hooves, or powder our horns, or, and then change to a copy of Sunset Simmering Ad. We could tell each other stories that I missed while I was out of town, while little baby Sally was here. Despite her annoyance with him, Raspberry couldn't help but giggle. Good old baby Sally. A bassinet Sally appeared beneath Sunset as he became wrapped up in a bonnet and diapers. Oh yeah, Celestia's little bundle of explosions and chaos. I swear, that's a mare after my own heart. She really had the castle going at one point. But enough about that. Discord pulled a blind down out of nowhere, and behind it rang out an explosion, followed by a mustering cloud. Then the blind retracted, and there he stood in natural form. At least one could call Discord being natural. So what are you here for, Discord? What? Can't be here to back up a buddy and a chum. A guy in a Hawaiian-style shirt and an oversized shade suddenly appeared on him. Figured we could go out for a few mai teas in Honolulu tonight. My treat. She looked down evenly, and he gave her a smile as the clothing disappeared. Is it obvious? Why, I'm here as your stealthy secret weapon. He then changed to the Dago colored version of himself, with a neon name inside that read, You can't see me, I'm invisible. You see, some pony, or rather, something, is stiffing you out. He then walked over to a door and opened it, revealing a Titanic-sized red nose poking his way through the door. You see, Mikey? This is how you do Discord exposition! Startled by that thing, he said, What the hell? Pushing the thing out the door, he commented, Oh please, that's just a taste of things to come, old Razzie. Why A green ball of flame enveloped him, and a second layer, a pile of ashes fell to the ground. The pile grew a mouth and said, You know, that was completely uncalled for. For his part, Heliodor gave a most satisfied smile as any face could give. Healy, stop. He's a friend, I think. Raspberry then walked over to the pile of ash. Discord, what's going on? As a response, the ass turned to a desk that the conquest, dressed in captain gown. Class is in session. He crowed. In a split-second later, Raspberry, Flare, Indigo, and Sugarcoat found themselves all sitting at desks, while Heliodor was placed in a corner with a dunce cap on his head. Well, boys and girls, and mostly girls, because I'm the only boy here. Heliodor gave an angry squat, and Discord shrugged. Okay, almost the only boy here. Happy. There were no further complaints, so he continued. What's going on? How Discord should have known. Sugarcoat drawled. Raz, what the hell's going on here? Ladies, can I please get back to being the good guy here? There was a puff of smoke, and a second later, Discord read a red cape and blue tights with the glare D and basil on the yellow shield. That, or we'll have to deal with copyright infringement. He snapped his claws, and a second later, the 4 ponies stood before him. Anyway, as I was saying, there are plenty of things out there, Raz. Even things that neither Celestia or I are aware of, or things that neither of us have seen in quite some time. And believe it or not everything is as charming or friendly as yours truly. We're still trying to comprehend the charming and friendly part, Indigo drawled. Why, Lieutenant, you wound me. Discord suddenly had an oversized arrow appear in his chest, and he fell dead to the ground, his eyes showing exits and the arrow turning to a lily. His ghost floated out of his body and continued to talk. So anyway, as I was saying, many of these things have their own natures and specialties, and there's something out there that runs on dark magic, so to speak. And it's hungry and looking for you. Me? Raspberry asked. There was a puff of smoke, and a market stall suddenly appeared, with a dozen plastic duplicates of the magic pillar rolling heels. Get your enchanted pillar! Discord barked like a carnival worker. 5 down, maybe 3 to go. We don't know what any of them do. Fun for the wife and kids, if they survive. What are you prattling about? Sugarcoat asked. In response, Discord looked at his right wrist and pulled back the fur to reveal a watch. The watch's face opened up and spouted a long platform. upon which was a cuckoo clock. The cuckoo clock looked at his right wing, was revealed to watch. His face opened up and out spat a long platform, upon which was another cuckoo clock. That cuckoo clock opened up to reveal a miniature Sunset Simmer, who held her smartphone, revealing the time. Well, you know, this is the part of the chapter where I leave you all with more questions than answers. So riddle me this, Batman. What is the one thing that could be sniffing you out? And why could it be dangerous to us all? This guard then changed to a fruit bat and opened a porthole. Now, I bid you auf Wiedersehen. As this guard disappeared in the distance, Sugarcoat was the first to recover. Well, that was an experience. He really freaks me out, Flair said to nobody in particular. Should I put on guards on alert? Indigo asked. As it is, I need to speak with Captain Yell in 30 minutes to discuss defense issues, as he's under your command until you release him. Do that. As it is, I think the rest of us will be looking into this research Twilight sent over. I don't have much time left before something bad happens. I hope with the stars of my witness it's not too late. We're too late, Sonny said softly as he looked into the sky. There, where the recently erected town hall of Icicle Works once stood, was nothing more than crystalline and wooden rubble. In its place, a massive pillar made out of dozens of industrial-grade gems continued to reach into the sky. A black fog radiated from the pillar, as did the hum that seemed to resonate through their bones. Sweetheart, what is that? Keynes asked. As ruler of the empires, he felt obliged to come, sensing a need to make sure the populace stayed calm. For once, Shiny didn't argue with his wife. Now, however, he questioned that wisdom. I don't know, he told her. Then he explained the rest. What Luna had told him about, and what Twilight Raspberry's investigations had uncovered. As he explained, a horrified look came over the face of the romance alicorn. I could sense a great evil in that thing, Shiny, she told her husband. It needs to be destroyed, and it needs to be destroyed right now. You sure? He asked her, and looking at her eyes told him all she needed to know. Firestorm, he shouted to the lieutenant, the unicorn next to him. Want to show off a little? Firestorm grinned widely. Absolutely, sir, he said with a laugh. His sword began to glow with electric blue energy as he put magic into his most destructive spell. As one of the zappers explained to the Crystal Empire, Firestorm knew just about everything there was to make stuff go boom. Better stand back, everybody, he told him as winds whipped up and by his spell continued to circle him. This might just get a bit messy. Everybody stand back, Sonny shouted and cast one of his shield spells. While the pillar before him could be likely be encircled by the same spell he used to cover all of Canterlot, he knew the total level of the spell would take on his body. Instead, knowing the level of destruction Firestorm was capable of, the captain of the guard opted to throw out multiple layers of small shields, yet even this did little to prevent the intensely binding light that came from the unicorn's magic bolt. The blast hit the pillar straight on, turning into a glowing candle of brilliant luminosity that drove every pony for miles around away from the sky, towards the safe darkness of the ground. The unicorn poured the blast on for all it was worth. The force of the blast almost made him buckle from his stance. Certainly, the ground beneath him began to slowly give way, as the pressure of his own strike began to slowly feed back on him. Finally, the world filled with blue-white, and the air as he could be seen, even though closed eyes as the area screamed of fright and panic. As he disappeared, the pillar became completely unharmed. Unfortunately, Sid could be not said of Firestorm. Look at her horror on his face. The unicorn looked completely frozen and almost completely blanked out, as there was a statue hewn from marble. Only the realism of the statue, in no way uncertain, could ever capture, told the terrifying truth of what they'd seen. Medic! Shining shouted. Get the lieutenant out of here! Another guard, a Pegasus mare wearing the light flying armor of field medic, approached. I'll keep you sealed, Heartbeat, Shining told the mayor, but you'll have to get him to medical care immediately. You can count on me, Captain, she said with a grin, and approached the fallen guard's pony. Come on, Stormy, and let's get you out of here, she said as she reached over to grab him. The moment she made contact with him, however, she screamed in pain, and a steady mist of plum-colored energy flowed from her towards the pillar. When it was done, she too looked like a statue. Seeing the reaction, Shiny reacted quickly. Thunder Chaser, Starcracker, get the princess out of here now! The rest of you, start evacuating the town immediately. He then turned to his right. Heave your line. I'm going to throw up a shield. The moment I do, I want you to grab them with your magic. Do not touch them at all. I just want to get them out of the blast zone. Bullwhip, you stay here as well. Finally, he turned to Cadence. Katie, we need to get you out of here. No, I'm staying with you, she insisted. I don't want you at risk either.
We talked about this, he told her. You're the ruler of the Empire. If something happens, our ponies need you, Katie.
She opened her mouth to protest, but he knew she was right and said nothing. He even stand low, he followed the escorts away from the location, and as soon as he did, Shiny threw up a shield between the others and his troops. And then turned to the Earth Pony next to him. Bullwhip. If for some reason her spell fails, I want you to grab all 3 of them with your whip.
I've got you, Captain.
Bullwhip, who was the son of the equestrian ambassador to Minos, sighed. He'd been named after a Minoan weapon, and he learned how to use since he was a foal. Raising over for a specially made bullwhip, the namesake pointed on.
Hey, Leon, you'll put on that fail, or else you'll be paying for the meals after this is over.
He began lying loud, her voice a glinting giggle. Ha ha ha! Trying to flit again, bullwhip.
No such thing, you got it. He joked, I always do.
Well, tell that to our daughter, I guess, she said wearily to her husband before turning back to signing. Captain, I'm going to cast a spell now, sir. Keep me covered.
Of that I have no doubt, Shiny replied, throwing another spell around her, the parts almost forming all together with another suit of armor. With that, she fired a tractor spell at the 2 stricken ponies, with the intent to pull them away immediately. Instead, the moment she connected her spell against them, the mint green of her magic started getting sucked into the pillar. Then a mist the same color was pulled away from her. A second later, the magic armor of Shining Caster started to split apart, dissolving into cerulean mist that was almost absorbed by the pillar. Line! Bullwhip sighed, rushing towards his wife's side, but found himself pushed back by Shiny's shield. Can't rescue 2, Shiny shouted back. Pull those others back with your whip, and let's get out of here. Bullwhip at his wife worriedly. Then back at Shiny. Bullwhip, I promise. As soon as we figure out what's going on, we'll make sure she's okay. Shiny told his trooper, I worry about my wife too, you know. Yes, sir, Bullwhip said, taking the handle of the whip in his mouth. A second later, he cracked the whip, the snap of the sonic boom ringing out as last the circled Firestorm's leg. Bullwhip slowly, but surely, pulled the unicorn towards Heaving Lion, and stopping when they were both close. Enough heartbeat. Shiny looked around as the other guards pouring started pulled clear of the town of Icicle Works. It led to the pillar, which continued to growing. Something he knew had started. Something horrible. Meanwhile, across Equestria, as if bidden by an unknown signal, the massive pillars erupted in 8 places throughout the nation. Meanwhile, on Mount Canterhorn itself, the mountain began to change and glitter as it transformed into a titanic copy of the others. In the various towns surrounding the pillars, the military forces were on alert, trying to destroy the large obelisk. But in each case, the magic and life force of the attackers was absorbed, leaving behind opponents in stasis. Berryville, just as Twilight and the air bearers entered the town, they lived hard to see a massive spire of Hibernite in the middle of town, buzzing through what had been the town market. Around the base were dozens of white ponies, far more than could naturally be of that coat color. Rushing towards them and panic on their faces was the rest of the town of Berryville in utter panic. Stop! Twilight shouted, coming to mind before a princess of the realm. Many of them actually did. Oh, thank goodness you're here, princess! Another mare said to Twilight. She was an egg mare with a lime green coat, salt and pepper mane, and had a chalkboard for a cutie mark. The town's been decimated by that thing! Are you okay, Maya? Applejack asked. Chalkboard, the mayor stated. I teach at the elementary school here, but I'm glad to see that the bearers are here. So he looked at the ponies and questioned. You did bring the elements, right? Long story, Rainbow said, not to listen any further. Okay, ponies, Twilight shouted with a royal counterline voice. If you head down the road, you'll see that my guards are setting up caretaker camps there. You'll be safe there. The town's ponies got the clue, started marching in and out in orderly line. Rainbow, can you notify the guards to expect incoming? Sir, I'll be back before you know it. Rainbow immediately blasted off like a proverbial rocket. Everyone, get closer, Twilight told him. I want to get a better look at that thing and see what happened to those ponies that aren't moving. Don't get too close, a pony passing by warned Twilight. If you touch one of them, you'll get turned into a statue just like that. What? Rarity asked. He's right to know. The others turned to see Discord standing there, wearing some kind of weird yellow suit to cover all of him. They're caught in a stable chronospatial subpodic while momentum, mana, and even bipedal electromagnetism was being taken from them. He made the suit fast as he stood there, all the color drained from him. That's what the pillars are. They're force vacuums. He was almost pleased to see them. This is a stroke of brilliance. Why didn't I think of this back when I was naughty? Discord! Twilight shouted at him. He shrugged and left his arms flowing in the air as he walked away from them and grew new ones. Hey, I didn't say I was considering it, just a bit nostalgic. Anyway, we need to get away from these pillars. From what I could figure, they're placing ponies in a chrono. While explaining this in words, he bowed. Of course. Put it simply, put a pony in a bag, and they take all the air out. They can't breathe, right? The ponies looked at Draconis hard as he explained. Okay, it's not that simple. The pillars are stealing momentum from them. That's the energy any living thing, magical or not, produces as they move. When ponies move, they produce momentum. When donkeys move, so do they. Every being does. He brought out a whiteboard and drew a really precise copy of Applejack on the board, along with a thin blue circle that enveloped the figure. At the same time, a blue field of light started to circle Applejack as well. What's going on? The farmer asked, glaring at the Triconquest. However, she never actually voiced it, because she found she couldn't move. This corridor ignored her. Because momentum is being stolen from the ponies, they can't move at all. They're not dead, but how can you really tell? Anyway, to continue, it then drew a red line around the blue one. Next to be stolen is the mana field that magical creatures generate. Earth ponies, unicorn, pegasi, whatever. Every magic user is vulnerable to this. As he finished the circle, a similar red one fell to Applejack. As he fell to the ground, the color bleeding away from her until there was no different to the other ponies near the pillar. Discord, change your back, Twilight threatened. Almost done with the example, I promised, Discord replied. By now, an artist's smock and a paint-splattered beret appeared on him, and the whiteboard suddenly became a canvas, with the realistic image of Applejack now animated and moving, as the mayor's presence had been transferred to the painting itself. As he put abreast of the canvas, he began to paint a green circle. As he did, he explained, eventually, when the second layer runs out, or isn't there, in the case of non-magical beings, it'll still working on the third, your bio-electromagnetic field. Gesundheit! Pinky responded.
What is that? It sounds scary.
It is. You might have heard it called by another name. The KitchenAid call it Ki, while the Pandas call it Kui, and the Tanuki Chi. As for us in the Western lands, we refer to it as life. Everyone did the Applejack, who was wondering if he was going to die. Discord giddily painting a circle around the panicking Applejack figure in the painting. Once there's nothing left, there's nothing but a husk. As he finished the circle, he pulled the bomb easel up as if going blind, rolling it up, and vanished. At the same time, Applejack returned to normal, getting off the ground. She shivered as she'd been in the middle of the blizzard for hours. Never want to go through that again. She went down. Never. I know. I don't want any of us to do so either, he said, offering her a cup of pineapple cider. She hastily took a drink and felt better. Down in the cup, she was back to normal. He looked at his friends and said, what these things are doing is locally is correct. They're storing the energy for use, and they have to send that energy somewhere. Oh, Reggie asked. Nothing can hold infinite power eternally, Twilight said. It's both a law of physics and magic. But you think they're going to steal all the magic in Equestria? No. But the magic circle Luna said would form is spot on, he told her. He caused her a map of Equestria, and both parts were affected by it. The inner circle's already begun to form, he told him. I'm certain there are places in Equestria where a secondary circle could form. Which means we're in trouble, Raspberry said at that moment. They all stood on the weather deck. They arrived just outside Classic Vista, as a pillar seemingly made of granite tore into the air, slowly started to split apart into a turning fork. What the hell's going on? Flare asked. However, Indigo, as a Pegasus, knew exactly what was going to happen. Captain, bring the our side. Our side? Yellow asked, looking at the guard's point of surprise. You're asking me to dive the ship? And that tuning fork goes off. We won't have much to worry about longer, she told her. In the distance, a deep, brassy rumble began to sound in the air. Without warning, the air turned to solid black, so much so everything outside the bridge windows was nothing but inky blackness. Captain! One of the boatswain's mates shouted. We're losing power in the foliage, I lost that. Get the mates and mates to the foliage, Yellow thundered. Get us start to float pronto. All hosts to the battle stations. Klaxon sounded throughout the airship and sailors scurried to and fro. Anything we can do to help, Captain? Raspberry yelled at Yellow. Aye, find out what happened to the mages, he told her. Circo, Flare, you two stay here, see what you can do. We'll help with the captain anything. Indy, we're going on deck. The two rushed down the bridge, heading towards the foredeck. As they headed towards the forward air dock, they could see black Mayazo steaming into the cracks of the archway. That does not look good, Indigo says he looked at the door. I want you to stay here, Raspberry began. Overruled, Ras. My job's protecting you, the Pegasus reminded her. And you will.
If something else happens out there, I want you to get me out of there, Raspberry insisted. Indigo looked at her. Raspberry clicked back. I trust you, Indy. Trust me too? I don't like this plan, Indigo said as he reluctantly sat down. I don't like it either, but it just might have to pull my flank out of the fire. So he insisted as he opened the hatch and stepped out the deck. She wanted to pure miasma, like nothing she had ever seen before. She couldn't see anything before her, and if it wasn't for the fact she just shut the door behind her, she wouldn't have known it was there. She could barely hear herself as it was basically brumble around her, so loud it was starting to give her a headache. Great. Just great, she muttered as he cast a spell. Glad I'm the one doing this. And as the spell pushed away the miasma, just enough to give her enough of space to see where she was going. She couldn't dispel it completely. That took a light magic spell. She could only do neutral magic outside of her specialty, but she would make it easier for her to maneuver around. A column of clarity opened around her as she made her way towards the ship's prow. Where are the... Uh-oh. She found the Maze's mates, or rather what was left of them. 4 mummified ponies, as if everything had been sucked out of them, lay on deck. She was momentarily bothered by the fact that she'd seen so much death during her life, it didn't faze her anymore. All it did was that the ponies were killed by miasma. When that should have been the case, miasma only made ponies sick. They killed them much less than their mummies. What the hell's going on? A mazer explosive right above, and Raspberry didn't need to wonder what that was. She could feel the deck lurch and twist beneath her feet, followed by the anti-slip spells as the power gave way and the hull began to list. It would be microseconds before the airship, with nothing to keep in the air, fell to Earth. As the Mulberry Unicorn felt her host pull away from the deck as the ship entered freefall, she knew 2 things. First, Equestria was big trouble. Second, she hated that tooth-jarring rumble.